Caught some good fish. Welcome everybody to the channel. If you've been following my channel, you will know Puddle Jumpers Fishing has moved from Pennsylvania down to South Carolina. So here I am today, learning the South Carolina ways. I just wanted to share with you guys some insights when I go out to a pond to figure out exactly what bait that I'm gonna start with, what baits I'm gonna try. And I noticed, not sure if you guys can see, but the water is fairly clear here. Chop on the water, sun's out, bluebird skies. So what I've decided to start with today is a spinner bait, a jerk bait, a Texas rig, and a weightless setup. So that's what I'm thinking is gonna work here. That's my Pennsylvania frame of mind. So I'm going to start out with this spinner bait, just because there's a light breeze today, there's a chop on the water, and when there's a chop on the water, I like using spinner baits. Now, if this doesn't work, I will switch off to a swim jig, but I want to cover a bunch of water to see if I can figure out where the fish are at here today. Clear water, dirty water, spinner bait just seems to work out. So we're gonna give this a try. We're just gonna cover some water here along this bank right here and see if we can catch any bass. There we go. Wow, first cast. Okay, so spinner bait could have potentially been a good choice. That is a very small bass, but a bass is a bass. And to catch a fish on the spinner bait first cast, you know, that means that with the chop on the water and the clear water, the color, white and chartreuse, hopefully that's the way to go. Now with the spinner bait, I don't just reel it in. I try to change my cadence up a little bit. On my spinner baits. So I start with a steady retrieve, and then every now and then you'll see that, you know, it's a nice steady retrieve, and then all of a sudden I'll give it a couple, you know, rod twist, you know, and then I go a little bit faster. And what that does is that puts a little bit of, you know, just a different cadence on there. Or maybe I'll give it a pop if that doesn't work. But what I normally do is I normally start it out with a steady retrieve, and then a fast retrieve. And I also let it, you know, when I first let it cast out there, I let it sink for a little bit, you know, bring it in different parts of the water column. Oh, that was a bite, but that was a bite and a miss. So that was a short strike. I don't run a trailer hook on my spinner baits really at all. If they're short striking it like that, I tend to just change colors or change my cadence up. There we go. That's a weird, under the lower mouth. It's another little guy. I'm gonna snap a picture here for Instagram. Don't forget, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Facebook. Puddle Jumpers Fishing. Thanks, buddy. That was pretty cool. So we got 2 fish so far on the spinner bait. which is cool because that means, you know, like I said, largemouth or largemouth, you know, no matter where you go in the country, if you know kind of, you know, the conditions, water clarity, you can catch fish. And they're chasing bait here, which is awesome, because nothing, you know, I brought out that jerk bait just in case, you know, I had to slow it down. If I was getting a bunch of short strikes on this spinner bait, then I would have definitely moved over to the jerk bait. Okay, this is a Shimano jerk bait with Thunderbolt technology. I like using 3 treble hooks on my jerk baits, just something that I like to do. This is on a Daiwa Tatula 7'6" medium heavy rod, 17-pound fluorocarbon with a Daiwa Tatula bait caster. So this is my go-to rod on a lot of baits, but definitely my jerk baits. When I pop a jerk bait, I hit it and then bring it back to slack so it shoots off. Alright, so no luck with the jerk bait. Kind of surprised, but you know, they just might not be honed in on jerk baits. So we're switching this off to a Texas rig. So this is a 3/0 Gamakatsu hook on a Wu tungsten 3/8 ounce, and I have it pegged, and this is a Frankenstein lure, crawl with black with blue flake. I have this on a Shimano Inteza. This is a medium heavy 7-foot rod on a Daiwa Tatula 15-pound fluorocarbon. So we're going to see if the bigger fish, oh, there we go. Oh yeah, it feels definitely like a better fish. Oh, and he split the hook. Bad hook set, bad hook set. Alright, so something that I've noticed I want to talk to you guys about on this Texas rig. I've been bombing it out there, letting it on a slack line, waiting for it to hit bottom. It seems to be extremely deep out there, 20 feet, maybe 15 or 20 feet. So what I do is I let it hit the ground, and then I'm just dragging it very slowly. You know, the point of a Texas rig is to always have that bottom contact. That's why I like to use tungsten, so I can feel when I come up over a rock or I come up over a limb or I'm stuck in some grass. And then when I'm reeling in the slack, I actually do it slower and lets that bait just sit there just for a minute. Sometimes they grab it when it's moving, sometimes they grab it when it's sitting there. But with a Texas rig, you want to mimic the bait that you're using. So I'm using a crawfish. Crawfish don't really move that quick, so that's why I'm moving it ever so slowly. See, there was over, it felt like a limb. I could feel that on my rod because I'm dragging it. When that tungsten hits that limb, I can feel it boop up over top of it, and then I'll let it fall. Same thing with a rock. If I'm stuck in grass, I just give it a couple of little pops. When I feel it release the grass, then I drop it back down, just leave it sit there for a minute. Because when you let it bounce off of a rock or bounce off of a limb or pop it out of grass, a lot of the times that's when the fish will take it. There we go. Well, it's a little bit better quality of a fish. Just a little bit better quality. Thanks, buddy. So I made my way over here to this corner. You know, we caught that one small bass, missed that big one. And they just aren't biting this anymore, which is kind of interesting. It's very interesting how the bass can turn on and turn off. but they're just not. And, you know, we worked our way the whole way from where we started down to this corner over here, and they're just not hitting this Texas rig anymore. This is why I love bass fishing. You know, it's just it's hard. I mean, it's not hard, it's just fishing, but you know, to really dial in on these fish is tough. You know, we got something on this, you know, we got 2 small fish on the spinner bait, nothing on the jerk bait, which is crazy. You know, you figure I would have had something on that jerk bait, but you know, I fished it for a while and nothing. Came with this Texas rig, and you know, had a small fish bite it, had a big fish bite it way out deep, and ever since then, nothing. So before we jump off this Texas rig, I just want to show you how versatile a Texas rig is. So this is a shaky head worm. I don't have any shaky head hooks or stand-up hooks, but this tail will float. So this is something else that you can use on a Texas rig. So let's see if the old shaky head worm will get any bites. Just, you know, I know they were hitting on that crawl and it kind of stopped, but all right, well, I didn't find another shaky head worm yet, but another option is this bug style bait. This is a Frankenstein lure bug style bait. It's got all kinds of floppy appendages. We'll see if the big bass like this bait with lots of movement. But it's the same thing with everything else. Let it settle to the ground, drag it on the bottom. So I switched it off to a shaky head again. I found another one. Just had a little bite on it. Didn't lose my tail this time. Alright, so I figure we'd drop to my weightless setup. A good thing that I like is a fluke style bait or a soft plastic jerk bait. This is a Frankenstein Lures soft plastic jerk bait. So I do have green, but I chose white. So we're gonna see what happens. This is on a Shimano Simtech with a Shimano Simtech reel, and I have it on 20-pound braid to 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. This is the same as, you know, the jerk bait with the cadences as we talked about earlier in the video. But this is a soft plastic, no treble hooks. You can, you know, you can work this around grassy areas. What I do is I just kind of work it like a jerk bait, and then when I stop it and pause it, it kind of just flutters down like a stick bait. This is something you can move a little bit faster than a stick bait to try to get that reaction bite. Really been enjoying this braid to leader on my spinning rod for my soft plastics, for like a stick bait or this fluke style bait. The sensitivity has just been amazing. You just got to learn how to tie a braid to leader line, and I use the Crazy Alberto knot for my braid to leader, and it seems to work good. It's a nice tight knot. It'll go through these very small eyelets in this Shimano rod. Just happy to be down here, get some good content for you guys, you know, be able to fish a lot longer. I don't have that downtime like I did up north in Pennsylvania when it gets really, really cold out. See if we can get ourselves a giant here before the end of this evening. As you can see, the sun's starting to go down.